I was just saying the guests were delayed because of the Bangalore traffic. They have arrived. They should be up here in a few minutes.
Oh, that's the first time that Bangalore has traffic, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But really, thanks for, I know it's very late out there for you.
No, it's no problem. If I wasn't doing that, I would probably be doing the emails or other things. So it's actually much better to talk.
Okay.
I can stay awake.
We got a full house up here. I wish you can see this. It's really, you know,
Of course I can see that.
a nice setup, I must say.
Look very nice.
So guys, anybody has a joke while we're waiting?
You can ask me questions, not necessarily a joke.
Yeah, so while guys, yeah, absolutely. So while guys are available to us, any questions for Guy on anything? Guy, you might be opening a Pandora's box, but that's okay. Come on, somebody needs to entertain, ask a question. Vivek, you have a question?
Not bad.
I'm going to go to a friend's house.
Okay. Okay. Hi, guys. This is Atul. How are you doing?
Very good, very good.
Okay. So very tricky. So how are we going to solve the Bangalore's traffic problem?
That's a good question. We need the self-driving cars from Google.
Okay, perfect.
That will reduce traffic. And maybe the other thing is to build an apartment building next to the office for all the employees so we don't fight traffic, we just solve it.
Great. So the second suggestion looks really promising. Okay.
Morning, Guy. Oh, no, not morning, obviously. This is Sunil. So looks
it's
like
morning somewhere.
so looks like today in the newspaper, Amazon is planning to deliver packages through UAVs, the drones, right? So maybe we could extend that for traffic problem, right? In India, to deliver packages using drones.
Yeah, I don't know if they have drones big enough for engineers, and I don't know if you're willing to be one of the first people that tried that. As you know, Sunil, sometimes software products have some bugs.
No, I'm not sure about that.
I mean, we never have bugs, right?
No.
They are only features that are not
Exactly.
appreciated.
Yeah, not delivered.
Yeah. There's a lot of controversy. A lot of people believe that it's just a PR, that Amazon is really not planning to use drones to deliver packages, and it's so problematic. So, but some people believe it's serious. So we'll see. I can tell you there's about 30 different startups that are around here that have something to do with drones. And I think Amazon maybe started. So I hope some of them will make money because there's certainly a lot of startups related to drones.
I agree.
So how is the quality okay? Can you hear me well?
Yeah, we can hear you perfectly. We can see you well too.
Excellent. It's even better. Sounds like better quality than if I'm there in person. Maybe when I come to Bangalore, I can give the presentation from the nearby office and being beamed into the room, so it will be better quality.
So, Guy, one more thing getting you close to moving to India then.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's a good technology. It's nice to do it, and it's great to see everybody.
It's a video conference, so you can see us.
It's too bad that there's no technology to have this also involved with some Indian food.
Well, soon enough, hopefully.
test. Check one, test. Check. Check, test. Check.
Go back on Friday. Check. Good to have you guys. Hey Kumar, how are you doing? Good to have you. Hi, welcome. Good to see you again. Hey, how's your dad? Not bad. But at home?
Check. Test.
She's stable, but she's still in hospital. I'll go back on Friday. In old age, not much you can do about it. Let's go through it. Yeah, okay. Did your guys do presentation?
Yes, we have everything in. So everything will be controlled from here when guys
So
present.
we will cut other stuff short. Instead of 15 minutes, etc. We'll just do some of the things quicker. All of them will have to squeeze. So Guy, really sorry. A couple of them took a very early flight, so they didn't have a chance to grab breakfast. So we're just taking care of that, and they should be here in 5 minutes.
Well, that's good. Somebody should get Indian food. No problem.
Hello. Hi, Guy. This is Girish.
Yes, Girish?
Can you please lower your camera angle a little bit?
Okay. Let's see.
I think this is okay. Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. You will load my slides when I get to this, or they're already loaded?
Yes. Yes. We will give you the slide and control.
Okay. No problem.
No, both internal and external. I don't know whether this one was internal or external. Rajiv, I don't know where Madhulika is, but you need to put pressure on Arun. This has to move now. Tactfully, but he needs to...
Slowly ask them to.
Not slowly, he's got to get him now. Saying that, I'm sorry, but we're running a bit late and we've asked CEO to stay up late to give this.
Require rehydration.
Yeah.
Here. We can give them plenty of fluid. Make a day. Not those guys. Our guys. We should do water spring.
Yeah, they've put me far away from the AC, so I'm going to be screwed.
You can quickly
Swap.
switch the.
Go switch. Go switch. Go switch. Go switch. It's the name tag. Go switch. Go switch.
Sure.
Okay. Hello? You guys can hear me in the back? If you can't raise your hand, well, then how will you raise your hand if you can't hear me? So if you can, raise your hand in the back. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. We are about to start. I know we are a few minutes late, but we'll try and catch up along the way. So let me kick the proceedings off. This is a unique program that we have started where EFI is looking to do 360-degree collaboration with the industry, academia, certain industry bodies, etc., and with the objective of furthering the industry, to grow the industry, to further the industry. There's already a lot of excitement in the Indian industry, especially on the packaging side, driven by growth in disposable income, which has further driven growth in consumer spending and fast-moving consumer good. Packaging is getting more and more innovative, and there's a lot of buzz. Also, if you look at some of the data, it's clear that India is definitely going to be one of the major markets, both in the printing and the packaging industry, one of the top 10 markets globally. So there's a lot of excitement. We are at an inflection point, and what better way than get technologists to work with the legends, leading legends in the industry, to understand better the needs, the opportunities, as well as the challenges. I hope everybody can hear me well. If you can't, please let me know so we can make some minor adjustments here. Today is a kickoff of this event. I'm really thankful to all the advisors who will be introduced shortly by Madhulika. Really thankful for taking time from their busy schedules to come share their thoughts with us, and for their enthusiasm and commitment to work with us on an ongoing basis. And I'm really looking forward to great things coming out of this collaboration. So without further ado, I would like to say that we have very good agenda. You're going to have chance to ask questions of the eminent panel. Also, they will share their thoughts, and then there are some other sessions in the afternoon. So looking forward to it. And without further ado, I'm going to call Madhulika to introduce them in alphabetical order.
Sure.
And then I know Guy, I really thank Guy he's sitting in California, Pacific time zone, very late out there, but he didn't want to miss this. He didn't want to miss the opportunity to thank you. I also really appreciate Gilad flying out explicitly for this, and it's always a pleasure to have you, Gilad, but lately you've been a stranger, so we are going to hope to see you more often, and this is our way to get you to come here. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Sam. So indeed, it would be a real great pleasure to welcome our esteemed panelists. So I would like to call upon Priyanka, our HR business partner, also on the dais to welcome our panelists. So, warm good morning to all of you. I hope all of you are energized for this event. So I would like to introduce each of our panelists in an alphabetical order for this kickoff meeting. So, Mr. DJ Bangara, founder and managing director of Auto Striping India Private Limited. Auto Striping specializes in OEM automotive graphics. Automotive graphic business was acquired by 3M in 2000. So, sir, if you could come on to the dais. The organization diversified into commercial graphics and is a preferred supplier to Coca-Cola for the last 21 years. Founded Image Labels in 1996 and is a supplier of industrial OEM labels. Auto Striping, under the leadership of DJ Bangara, upgraded technology year on year and have latest digital printing equipments apart from screen printing and die cutting. Welcome, sir.
Give him a warm round of welcome. Thank you, sir.
Our next panelist is Mr. Fahim Agbotwala, Managing Director, High-Tech Printing Services Private Limited, and is currently the Vice President of Bombay Master Printers Association, and founded Association's unique Share to Benefit Forum in the year 2007. For the past 26 years, High-Tech has thrived on the principles of being a partner rather than vendor to its clients, most of whom are pharma giants. About 20% of its business is exported to highly demanding markets of USA and Canada. Mr. Fahim joined the business 15 years ago with absolutely zero knowledge of the printing, but he has learned printing hands-on, and today the business has manufacturing locations in the city with a third location in the pipeline. It's really a great pleasure to have you, sir. Thanks. So our next panelist is Mr. Gautam Pai, Managing Director, Manipal Media Group, Manipal Technologies. Manipal Group is a $750 million organization. The group is a leader in its product category for both secure transactions, marketing, branding, and communication, serving all the leading players across banking, telecom, education, government, pharmaceuticals, and retail sector. So to talk about Mr. Gautam, he was formally inducted into the family business in 1997. He has earned an enviable reputation amongst colleagues and customers alike for displaying a rare balance of strategic input, operational excellence, new technology adaptability, sales and marketing. Thanks a lot, sir. Now, I would like to introduce our very own Gilad, CTO, EFI. So, I know it requires very less introduction, but I would take this opportunity to introduce him as well for our panelists. Gilad has long served as the architect of EFI's technology strategy, and his visionary leadership has enabled EFI to expand beyond its fiery heritage to become an innovator across printing technologies, from digital color print servers to print business automation software to inkjet. In 2000, Gilad was elected chairman of PODI, a non-profit strategic initiative focused on evangelizing digital printing technology and services, and leading the evolution of digital printing infrastructure by promoting interoperability through standards. So, warm welcome to Gilad. So, we are really energized by having you here. Our next panelist is Mr. Narendra Paruchuri, Managing Director, Pragati Offset. He worked in a metal finishing company for 2.5 years and then joined Pragati Offset Private Limited, a commercial printing press started by his father, Sri Paruchuri Hanumanta Rao, in 1962. Narendra was instrumental in upgrading the press with latest technologies and building a team that was professional in every way. So, last but not the least, Pragati Offset has won the most coveted SAPI award in the year 2012 in the packaging and labels category. So it's really great to have you, sir. Thank you. Our next panelist is Mr. Prabuddha Das Gupta. He is the packaging consultant with over 33 years of experience in packaging development operation throughout India. He has spent 16 years in HUL Research Center and as their group leader for food packaging. He has brought in a lot of innovation in developing new packaging using various types of pack formats. So, warm welcome to you, sir. We also have amongst us our panelists, Mr. Ramu Ramanathan and Rishi, who could not make it today to the meet. Ramu is the group editor of Print Week and Campaign India. And Rishi Karalkar, he's the general manager of Repro India. Repro is a provider of content, print, and fulfillment solutions to publishers, corporates, education institution, and government. So I once again welcome all the panelists. So give a huge round of applause, team. So now that all of you have seen Guy, so that was a trailer. So we will see the full movie now. Okay, so the team is, so it's now time to know about what is the strategy and commitment of EFI towards the emerging markets. So Guy, our CEO of EFI, has been a huge proponent of emerging markets and the growth in emerging markets. He has been constantly challenging each one of us to reach to this vision. So without much ado, so I would like to call upon Guy. So Girish, can we have Guy? So welcome, Guy. So Guy is hearing us silently. So Guy, you can hear us, right? Okay, so while we have Guy up on the stage, so we would like to know from our panelists, what is that one thought they would associate with when they think of print and packaging industry? So I would like to start with Mr. DJ Bangara. Okay, cool. So Guy is online, so we will take this later. So Guy, over to you. Welcome. Okay, we are waiting to hear you.
We are having sound problem, Guy. We can't hear you yet. Girish? You know, technology. It doesn't matter you do 3, 4, 5 dry runs. When it comes to the actual, there's always challenges. And this is really, I mean, innovation is not about doing some fancy, crazy new technology. It's about making technology that we already have reliable, useful. You know? So this is a challenge to you guys. How do we do something like that? How does the dry run translate into the real run flawlessly? Still can't hear you. Yeah, exactly. You know, this is the only way to make him quiet, right? I'm going to get in trouble for that now. Yeah, absolutely. Chalk it up to the Bangalore heat and humidity. It affects people strangely.
So while we get it on, so we will like to take the thought forward.
Yeah, so what I'm going to do is, you know, I was going to kick off the panel discussion by asking each of you to comment for a few minutes on what do you see, you know, the major challenges and opportunities from your perspective, from your business perspective, etc., in the Indian scenario, as well as in the emerging market scenario, if that can be transferable. So what we'll do is, till Guy comes back online, we will get as far as we can, and the rest we will continue post that. So DJ, do you want to kickstart that?
Good morning, everybody. Pleasure to be here. And well, if you ask me what I think about the industry and the way it's been going, we were just talking before this meeting here that we happen to be that one generation that in our own lifetime has seen so many changes that has happened in printing. So I come from, I mean, started our business in the 80s, so we come from an analog age. We have started as screen printers, embraced new technology as it came along, so got into digital. So, but at the same time, all these different technologies, or you could say the processes, finally just boiled down to one thing, which is still print. And so the changes that we are seeing today are happening so rapidly that I think that's the biggest challenge. How do we focus on, in the old days it was easy. We didn't have a choice, so there were a few limited options. We could do it, we could concentrate, we could drive things forward. The problem comes when you've got, a whole bunch of options in front of you, and then you decide what is it that is going to be good for the business. Where I come from, our business has been driven by our customer. It's not about what I want. It's not about what I personally. My job is to bring to our end user, our customer, what they want. So to that extent, even this meeting, this advisory council meeting, I think is a very good step in the right direction, because you all have great workflow solutions, you have great printing solutions, but at the same time, unless you all know what the end user, your customer, our customer, everybody's customer is really looking at, we could miss out on connecting those dots. So I think personally, Sam, for me, I would say that the biggest challenge is trying to figure out what's right for the business, what's the kind of ROI we're looking at. Am I taking too much of time on this? No. To put it simply, the big challenge that I see in the digital age is the ROI. You have analog systems where you can have a 20-year-old machine and it'll still be producing. So you can have a long gestation period. You can have a return built over a long period. With digital, obsolescence comes so quickly that unless you have a quick ROI and unless you are moving into the new technologies step by step, which means you can't afford to stay on one platform. So I think that is the big challenge, and I am looking forward to EFI and the other leaders to come with solutions which will help address this issue of ROI, bring in options which are relevant to India, because India works in a completely different way from the West, and our pricing is so much different. So we are working on marginal profitability. So our typical ROI lengths are longer than in the West. So ideally we would be able to do it if we got better prices. It doesn't happen. So these are the ground realities. So sometimes I think if we are able to work together, understand what can be done, I think we can find the solutions.
Wonderful. Thank you, DJ. Clearly the message is, look, the technology is moving very rapidly, and unless there is a very short-term, quick ROI on that technology, you don't have the luxury of just keeping up, constantly changing with the technology curve. So that's clearly the message that DJ has given us. I believe Guy is back online and good to go. So we will switch over to Guy and we'll come back to the rest of the panelists on this question. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sam. Can you hear me now?
Yes, loud and clear. Now? Loud and clear.
Oh, excellent. Very good. Good morning, everybody. Sorry about the little technology glitch. And it's good to be live, sort of, in Bangalore. Actually, I really regret not being with you in person, looking at the distinguished panel and the topics. Those are things that we really like to know, and we care a lot about, much about them, and especially, and I explain a little bit, when it comes to India, we do need your guidance and advice, the India market. So those are very, very important topics for us. But I'm sure Gilad is going to spend all his time on the plan back writing a very detailed report. So I will know exactly what each one of you said. So what I want to do is to introduce you a little bit EFI, where we are in our transformation and growth, tell you a little bit about accomplishment and our bets, tell you about EFI in India. And then with that, obviously, we'd love to hear any questions you have, and then I'll try to stay on for a little bit and listen to, I'm sure, a lot of very insightful things from the panel. So I'm hoping I have a control over the slides so I can advance to my own slides. Yes, I do. Excellent. So as Sam said, this is our first advisory council in India. A fantastic list of guests. I'm very honored and pleased, and thank you for coming to Bangalore. We, as I said, at this point, EFI is very serious about having a strong presence in the market, printing, packaging, other areas in India. And this is timely for us to get the best advice and wisdom from you, how to proceed and where to invest and how to accomplish that. So when you look at EFI in general, it's a 25 years old company, relatively young. We have offices in 18 countries. We're developing in many of them. We learn how to build around the globe. We are really focused on R&D. We have over 40% of the employees in R&D function. Also, when you look at what percentage of our revenue go on R&D, it's close to 20. And you compare it to other technology vendors in the industry, they spend 2%, 3%, 4%. So we really spend, for our size, tremendous amount in technology. We might not spend nearly as much as our competitors in marketing, and maybe that's something that we regret, but I think that when it comes to customers, they always tell us that they want us to do more as far as building more innovation for them, making sure the product is better, the product is cheaper, fit their market, and we have a great support for it. I never met a customer says they wish we had done more creation. So we decided to be really strong in investment in R&D. Our headquarters in Silicon Valley. You see a picture of our new campus. We just moved there about 8 months ago. And in our industry, we're the fastest growth company, technology company in the industry. Actually, most of the companies are declining in the industry, and we are one of the few that go the fastest. So we'll give you a little bit more on that, but just kind of in a glance, this is EFI. We'll talk about strategy many times today, but if you want a short version of really what the strategy is very simple. We want to lead the transformation of analog to digital printing in every category on every medium, not just on offset printing going to digital presses, but in many things that have printing devices, such as textiles, such as packaging, that the main way to print, almost only way to print today is analog. We see a tremendous value with technology over time moving to digital. And when we do, we really want to focus on industries that have application, have good growth ability, and don't have a dramatic secular decline. You will not hear EFI building a printer for newspapers, or you will not hear EFI bringing a books printer. We will print on areas that are going to have a lot of life, like packaging, like signage, like decorative materials, like short-run variable data documents. And we're going to do it by helping our customers to add more value to print and to be more competitive, because being competitive in the industry is very important. Otherwise, you get to a price war, and very few people are escaping that. Okay, so this is essentially a strategy, what we're going to do, how we're going to accomplish that, and we'll talk more about how we go about it. If you look at from a numbers perspective, a little more, information about the growth. We're very pleased to have 4 years of double-digit growth. We've been growing quite well in the last 4 or 5 years. Our goal is to get to $1 billion revenue by 2016. So we're not too far, less than 3 years away, 2.5 years away. And if you look at our track record of growing organically and with acquisitions, there is a good explanation to why we expect to be there. We're definitely trending toward that. This year we're going to be slightly below $800 million based on Wall Street estimates. So we continue to grow. It's, essentially, we doubled our sales since 2009. So I hope you can see the entire slide. Yes. We are, essentially when you look at our business, we have two categories. And we are the market leader, the global market leader, the largest in each one of the categories. The first category is industrial inkjet. Inkjet application for heavy duty manufacturing. Half of our business is in that area. It's been growing on average 17% the last few years. And it's an area of a great hope for us because inkjet is a tremendous technology that can print on any surface because it doesn't touch the surface. And with ongoing innovation that we see in ink and inkjet and electronics that drive it and software color management, we actually believe that it will become very relevant to many applications that today seems that digital technology or inkjet technology is not relevant. So there's a huge potential. It's a disruptive technology, and EFI is the market leader in that stuff. There's the other half, exactly half of our business, is workflow. And we automate the process of printing from submission all the way to fulfillment, delivery, invoicing. This area was growing about 8% every year for EFI, and we expect to continue to grow. In this area, about 2/3 of the business is the color management and the digital workflow that we call filing, and we sell it mostly with partners, but we also sell it ourselves with our own machines. And then we have 1/3 is what we call the MIS, the business process automation, where we help customers to automate the process, take the waste out of the system, being able to estimate the cost of printing, being able to charge customer the right number, being able to schedule it very efficiently, take a lot of the touches and a lot of the mistakes from the process of printing. So again, two categories, industrial inkjet, workflow, about half each. In each one of them, we are the largest in the category. Let's talk about where we sell. Still, the U.S. is significant for EFI. We sell a lot in the U.S. Our market share is very, very high. In the last few years, we saw the rise of China. China became our second largest. We're getting a very good market share in many of the categories in China, and we're growing very fast. And then you can see on and on. What we really want to talk to you about is India. India is 15 for EFI, very small number. Why I consider 15 to be very small? Well, first of all, when you look at printing market, India is 6, and so there's no reason why India, at least by that measure, would not be 6 of EFI business. And then you expect it to grow faster compared to most other markets. In fact, actually, other than China, India expects to grow faster than all other markets at below. So in the next few years, India is going to move up from 6 to maybe 4 or 3rd, just after the US and China, and maybe we'll pass one of them in a very long time. So clearly we're missing an opportunity. More than that, India for us is home court. This is where our largest office is. We're getting very close to 500 employees. This is where our largest development center is, and this is the fastest growing group. And the benefit of this office, besides having an awesome team that create a lot of wonderful technologies, is that they work together in one campus. So they can really make the EFI products integrate and work well together because of the proximity and ability to work in one place under one management team head by Sam. So more on this integration in a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about inkjet. I talked about it before. As I said, we're the largest industrial inkjet provider. We focus on signage today, packaging, decoration. We want to print on any surface. We see very good progress. Our largest application is signage. You may have heard about our ViewTech brand. You can print on any media up to 2 inch, very high quality. People use it a lot for marketing, out of home, display, printing on a lot of surfaces, and very creative ways to print on many, many applications. People start now in the higher speed machine, people start to use it for corrugate packaging, and so we see the first entry from a digital perspective to corrugated. Obviously the benefits of digital are phenomenal. You can run very short run, you can change design very quickly, and the cost of running one is the same. There's no setup cost to run 1, 2, or many. So we continue to grow it, and our plan is to continue to grow it with both organically, as we have done, and also with acquisitions to add talent and applications to the inkjet. So we have 3 types of printers, inkjet printers. Display graphic, as I mentioned, it's the largest, very successful with many markets. We're #1 share, considered really the high end from a quality perspective, speed perspective. EFI, we've done really well on that, continue to go well. Label and packaging is smaller with our Jetune brand, just start to pick up. We have a very innovative system, very fast, very high quality with LED queuing. I'm sure Gilad is going to get into this in the discussion. We see customers that buy it, see their volume go way up when they buy it because they get their customers to get used to the show on. And then another application that has a lot of relevance to India is the ability to print on tiles, on ceramic tiles. And then we have many printers in India in the ceramic area where you can print on tiles as part of the manufacturing process and then have great design being printed in a much smaller quantity that saves a lot of money and saves a lot of waste and saves a lot of inventory. And I'm sure Gilad will talk about that. We have a lot of aspirations to build more products and a complete ecosystem for tiles and also to move it to other big industries such as textile that can benefit a lot from a digital revolution. So as you see, we can print on many things: tiles, wood, glass, decorations. People create small airplane, or they do car wrap or building wrap. You can see in the middle, it's a picture that I got when I was in Brazil for the before the World Cup, unfortunately. McDonald's decorated their branches. So people can use it for many things, outdoor, indoor. The beauty of this is, again, you can print on any material. It's really resistant to weather. You can use great things to decorate many things. Let me switch to the workflow. As I mentioned, we have two types of workflow. One is what we call DFE, digital front end. That's a fiery business, very popular in India, market leader by far. People recognize that if you want to get the best out of the digital press, you want to get the best color quality, you want to get the best speed, you want to have the most reliable machine, you want to have the best variable data integration. Fiery is considered by almost unanimously as the #1 digital front end. And then the other third is, as I mentioned, what we call business process automation, similar to ERP, help you to automate the business of printing, take the waste out of the system, do accurate estimates of the cost of the print, which without that you cannot. Tell you how to schedule it, so you efficiently utilizing your machines and making sure that customers get it when they need it. And then, of course, making sure that the entire process of printing, the print flow management is done very efficiently with cutting out the waste and being as efficient as possible. I mentioned the fiery, it's front end, you see the server, it's the fastest in processing speed. When you get into very high speed production machine, processing speed is important. You don't want the preparation to slow down the machine. This is a benchmark that a customer of us did. He found out the fiery is 28 times faster than the closest alternative. Obviously, it's tremendous difference in speed. Part of it is obviously because of our imaging people. We build imaging chips that accelerate that. We have a unique architecture. We're very serious about those type of applications with digital front end. So color standards and color quality and color management come with that. When you have a customer, I saw that one of you guys are working with Coke, or work with Coke. Obviously, they care a lot about the red. They want to make sure the red is exactly the same red, no matter what machine they're printing on, and fire is one of the things that help you to do that. Looking at our business process automation, if you look at the US at the top 400 printing companies, 75% of them are using our business process automation, what we call MIS. 8 out of the top 10, 78 out of the top 100. We're really the standard in the US, and we're growing very fast now in Europe. We're #1 share. We don't have this kind of penetration because we started only 2-3 years ago, but we're growing very fast, and we will have this kind of penetration in a few years down the road. So the next frontier for us is Asia, and India is instrumental. We have a great customer in India, but we really haven't brought it to the market yet. And I think efficiency, reducing labor cost, reducing waste is now becoming more of a need in India. And obviously, we'd love to hear your take on that. When you look at our products together. Each one of them, we wanted to be the best in the category. But together, our goal is to create what we call the ecosystem, the full integration, where if you use 2 of EFI products, the value would be 3 times, not just 2 times. So we're working really hard, and the office of Bangalore is instrumental for this, to make sure that our products are well tied together, as well as with other vendors' technology, that somebody that buy our products get the benefit and don't need to worry about how is product A going to move data to product B and how they're going to have a bi-directional communication. And we want to really reduce the manual, we want to reduce the mistakes, reduce the waste, and integration is key for that, to make sure it's all working seamlessly together. Let me switch just to talk about what we're focusing now. And we had a user conference a few months ago, and I talked about the 5 bets that EFI is placing. So the first bet is on automation. We believe automation is crucial because of speed, because the cost of labor is rising everywhere in the world, because you can't have a mistake in printing, your margins are too small. I heard the first speaker talk about how the margins of India are really, really small. Well, if that's the case, you really need to automate, because you want to reduce how many people involved. And anytime somebody touches a job, you reduce. I say, it's a tough job to automate the printing work, because there's a lot of things need to be done. Well, I said, here in Silicon Valley, we see something that before that was not even imaginable to be automated. I had the graphic of it, but I guess it's not showing up. But this is the self-driving car that Google is working on. We're seeing it in the street, and we're very impressed with cars driving themselves. And I think in 5 to 10 years, it will become a reality. We'll have a lot of self-driving cars. It will have traffic in India dramatically and help, of course, productivity. And around the world, it will make driving a much more safer, because we're going to take a lot of the human mistake out of the system. So if we can do it in driving, can't we do it in printing, in the process of printing? Can we really not automate the entire process, take all the mistakes, have a 0 mistake, 0 accidents in the process? I do believe that if we can do it in driving, we can definitely do it in printing. What's the second bet? Second bet is about big data, about ability to give people enough data, or big enough set of data in their job to make the right decision, the right time, by the right people. EFI is a big consumption of data. We believe in data. Every morning we have at 6 a.m. 14 daily reports that tell us how the businesses behave. We know exactly how much money each cost center is spending compared to the same day a year ago. So we know the growth, and we can adjust if we see things that are out of line. We know exactly how many machines we sold, how much ink these machines sold that consume in Europe versus US versus Asia, and exactly how that behaved compared to exactly same day in the prior quarter and prior year. So we really run our business with a lot of data, and we think customers would like to do that too. Not only they refer to their own data, they can be able to compare via the cloud with other customers' data, with protection of privacy, of course, and see how well they're running the business, how the business is running compared to the overall market. And if you see that your business is below in certain area of performance, certain area of demand, then you know that you can do something about it. It's not just the environment. It's not just the way it works. You know that you're behind, or you're below average, or you're below top 20% in certain level of productivity. So we're really going to invest in ability to get the data to the right people at the right time in a way that they can consume it, get a lot of data, a lot of stats, so they can make very intelligent decisions as they make decisions about their business. The third bet is what we call the imaging of things. And maybe you heard the term the Internet of Things, where everything in the world, your refrigerator, your radio, your car will be connected to the Internet. Well, if you look around us, everything has some images. The clothes we're wearing, the furnitures that you are seeing in the office, the walls, the floor, everything has some images. And we believe those images as something that people care a lot about them. And somebody is manufacturing those images. Today, mostly with an analog process, but with the magic of inkjet, you can really change any material to print great images. You can personalize that. Instead of using a limited set of design, you can do whatever you want for your clothes, for your decoration, for your table, for your floor, for your curtain, for anything that we see around us that we have images. So our vision is not the Internet of Things. We're not an internet company. We use internet, but our vision is the imaging of things. That saying we will help every industry to use the magic of digital inkjet to print and change it and customize and do short run and do customization. The fourth bet is about digital printing. We believe that in the short term and long term, digital printing will prevail. We're the largest player in digital printing. We started by focusing on digital printing. Digital printing has a lot of benefits. I don't need you guys know all of that. The reason why digital printing is still not the majority of prints out there is because it's not there yet as far as cost, as far as speed, as far as quality. We're still trailing the analog in those areas, but we're making progress while the analog is getting pretty close to the maximum efficiency, speed. We're making very good progress on digital, mainly using inkjet to get to the point where it's very effective, it's cheaper, quality is higher, and you can benefit from personalization. I'm sure you're all aware of the return of the direct mail, becoming very much in fashion now. Companies are advertising via direct mail. They know something about the target customer with their address. They know what if they like to eat certain amount of food. They know if they like to travel, if they like to do ski, if they have young kids. They will tie what they send people to their home to the actual information they have about it. And they learn that you get 10x the return. So in places in the world, I'm hearing now that direct mail is most popular way to do marketing because unlike screens or advertisement on TV, it's really something people don't ignore. They open their mailbox, they look at that. If the image is related to them, they have a good chance of looking. So digital printing is an enabler for this. We're seeing it prevailing, getting stronger in each part of our industry. EFI, strong bet is digital printing to win. And then EFI is a partnership company. We build a business on partnership. We are, it's part of our culture. I'll talk about our culture in a minute. It's, we know we cannot do things alone. We want to build a very deep relationship with other vendors and with customers. With other vendors, we have a lot of partners. Recently, the last company we announced a strategic relationship with is Landa. Benny Landa is coming back to the printing industry. He picked EFI to be the only partner to supply digital front end. We're working on a project. It will be a very exciting project when his new printers, digital printers, are coming to market. But then we also have deep and very strategic relationship with customers. Many of our customers, majority of our customers, are family-owned businesses. They are, unlike when you sell IT, when you sell it to a purchasing agent, they really want to know that the company they buy from care about them, will be around in 5 years, will be around in 10 years, will help them to grow the business, will help them to continue to invest. They trust you much more and beyond than somebody to buy a router from you or hard disk. And I think we want to deserve this trust. And we work from day one, EFI, build the culture of this is a long-term partnership. We want to help those family-owned businesses to be better. We know the goal of the current management is to give the business to their kids in a better shape that they got it from their parents. And we want to be the trusted partner that they come to us. They make a big bet when they buy our products. Just a little bit of EFI culture. We call this culture sprint. One reason is we like to move fast, and hopefully you will notice that too. But each letter also represents attribute of what we believe is very unique about EFI, what we promote in EFI. I'm just going to run through this, but we can talk more, or Gilad and Sam can share with you more. But you know, we're a company of self-starters. We expect people not to wait to be told, to go and initiate things, and we see that a lot. We're very passionate about the industry, about customers, about our role in the industry, and we work like that. As I mentioned, relationship building is part of EFI culture from day one. It's mandatory in the industry. I think the reason why we're so successful with many customers is they build it as a relationship. They don't just use it, look at it as a vendor they buy certain products. Innovation, we talk about that a lot. A company has to be innovative. We're based in Silicon Valley. We're based in Bangalore. We're spending close to 20% R&D. Innovation is what really fuel EFI. Without that, we don't really work much on anything. We bring to people great technology that they need. And then nimble. In our world, you got to be nimble. You got to do things faster with fewer people because we always want to do more than what you have people to do. Customers always want you to do more than what you have budget to do. So learning how to do things in a nimble way is very important to our success and part of our culture. And then transparency. We tell you what we think. We're very open-minded. We share with people. There's not a secret, hidden agenda. inside EFI, definitely not with customers. And hopefully you see this openness, not just with my presentation, but every EFI presenter or anybody that talked to you. It will be clear that we like to share what we know and we like to be transparent with everybody. The last slide is the slide that I finish all of my presentations with EFI employees, and this is what I talked about being passionate about industry where most customers are family-owned businesses. Some of them are publicly owned, but most of them are family-owned. And many of them are more than one generation. We have customers that are 7th generation and 5th generation, and it's an honor to do that. And we know that what they want to do is, as I mentioned, they want to give the business to their kids in a better shape that they have it, and they need to trust whoever they buy crucial technology from. And we view it as a great honor and a great responsibility to be this trusted partner. So really, that's about EFI. Try to touch a little bit about the overall company, the strategy, our growth, our history, India, what are we betting on, what's our culture, and what's the most important for us, which is the customers. So with that, happy to answer any questions if you have, and if not, I'll jump back to listening to you guys.
Thanks, Guy. I'm going to ask thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to ask the eminent panelists if you have any question about Guy's presentation. Would be happy to take it now or later. Either way is fine. So, and if anybody else from the audience has any questions for Guy, I know it's late and we are keeping him up.
No problem.
So, show me your hand if you have any question. Guy, I think everybody is very clear on the strategy and our commitment to the market. So we can safely hold the quiz for everybody in the end of the show.
Very good.
Thank you so much, Guy. Thank you for being the driving force behind this.
My pleasure, and I look forward to hear from you and Gilad and other people about all the insight we learn, and hopefully next time I can be in person and learn from this distinguished panel more about the Indian market and more advice. How can we really make India a great part of EFI, really its products, because it's such a big, important part of EFI development effort.
Yes, thank you, Guy. We will definitely hope to have you here for the next one that we have. And thanks again. Take care.
For sure. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye. With that, I would like to ask the panelists to come back to the stage, and we will continue where we left off with, I think Fahim now is going to be the next. I think there's a microphone on your table.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, EFI.
I think one of the other microphones is on.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you, EFI, for arranging this. And I'd request Sam to repeat the question so that I can just get back on to course.
Sure, fine. The question that I asked all the panelists to comment on is, what do you see are the challenges and the opportunities in the Indian market? What keeps you awake at night? What excites you? You know, if you can have some observations. And I know some of you have, you know, sort of different aspects of the industry more than the others. So if you can comment with respect to, and you actually have fairly diverse interest in the industry. So,
Thank you, Sam. I knew the question. I was just trying to locate the answers on my phone. So okay. I'm not speaking for the eminent panelists on this panel because they're much, much larger than my company. I'm representing a smaller company with mainly into pharmaceutical printing and packaging. And I'm also got a little bit of insight on the small and medium printers of Mumbai city. We have an association of 500 odd printers. So these are some of the thoughts which I had, which are troubling and which are the concerns. And if India is to become a force to reckon with, we and the industry need to identify, work on these points. This is my opinion. The first and the most important one, according to me, is to improve the quality of the skilled operators, because we have sophisticated machines today and we have sophisticated software, but we don't use them to its complete capacity or its capability. And I think the onus should be on the manufacturer to set up institutes, to set up training centers. We had Heidelberg do that in Chennai a couple of years back, but unfortunately because of budget constraints they've shut it down. You may have the best machine in the world, but if you don't have the right people, then the machine is not going to give you the ROI which my colleague was talking about. The other thing which I thought was that we printing companies should be ready to pay more to get the right people to work our machines and our software. I think India is still caught in a time warp where we just think that the guy with the lowest salary we should employ. I think the time is gone. The time is to get educated people, the right people, not just where he's worked before, to look at his educational qualifications and to pay him to remain, because printing is looked at ink and paper and dirty your hands kind of a business. But I think today's modern machines don't dirty your hands. You need proper trained engineers to run these machines. So you need to be ready to change your mindset, to pay more to get the right people, and then to keep them there. I also feel that we need to keep having, getting the latest machinery, because innovation is the key. You can't live in the 80s and 90s like the existing majority of printers are in. And for that, we need to import the latest machinery, and there's a huge amount of duty which the government levies on our machines and on software. Now, if protectionism is one of the reasons why they're doing that, I'm happy with that, but they should do it to only those equipment or software which India makes indigenously, and not on ones which we never dream of making. So if they are market leaders and there are certain products or services which are not available in India, then they should not levy such huge duties on that, and we should be able to have access to them duty-free. And lastly, I feel that the industry as well as the manufacturers, everybody is just kept a blind eye towards respect for the environment with respect to waste disposal. And printing companies need to be prepared before we... I think the law will catch up with us, and it's better that we know what to do and how to do before we're forced to do it. Thank you.
So thank you, Fahim. That was extremely comprehensive. You looked at the broader aspect of the industry. I will get to one of the related question from Mr. Prabhuda a bit later, who is representing in parts academia here. In parts academia here about skilled workforce and how this is, are we equipped to handle that in the future? I think there is a follow-up question for that coming to you. Fair warning. Other things that Fahim did mention was, sort of exhorting the industry to be up to date on technology, on software, because our aspirations should not be continuing to be local. We should sort of grow into global aspirations, and so we need to have the latest, and we need to innovate with the best. And I'm going to have a follow-up question on that for Mr. Narendra, because his companies have been fairly well recognized, rewarded about having the best processes, best practices, etc. And so something to learn from him as well. Government lobbying, very important. I mean, if the industry is shackled from getting the greatest and latest technology, we are sort of shooting ourselves in the foot here. And some concerted effort from the industry to try and change that from a policymaker's point of view. Hopefully the new government is going to be more friendly towards businesses and so on. So keeping fingers crossed on that. One of the things that you mentioned is very interesting. It's traditionally printing industry is more of a blue-collar industry, and what I read into what you're seeing is slowly it's becoming a white-collar industry, like many other industries. And with that, the attitude, the skill level, the type of people, it's no longer commodity that we are going after. We should be going after the best people like many other industries do. And that we heard loud and clear. Thank you for that, Fahim. And with that, I would like to ask Gautam to share his comments on the same topic.
Same question. Good morning. I'm very happy to be here with all of you, and happy to answer any questions that you have. To the question that Sam asked about the challenges and opportunities and what keeps me up at night. I thought I'll share it in 3 parts. One is that since I think one of the goals is for the team here of EFI to really see what you can do more for customers, I wanted to share one part on that. Then some of the challenges, the main challenges that I see for the industry from our perspective in India, and what really keeps me up at night. So I think first from an opportunity perspective, I think where we are in terms of India, the demographics, the size of the market, where it's changing, I think that's a very large opportunity. And I think when you have a growing economy, when you have such a large customer base, it gives you a lot of scope to try out new things, a lot of scope to make mistakes, unlike an economy where you're playing in a flat field. So I think being where we are, especially in the Indian region with the kind of population we have, growing incomes, I think it's a very, very exciting space to be for almost most industries, and that includes printing in a broader sense. But if I look at the challenges a company like Manipal faces in the Indian context, is that I think the first would be, I think it's very challenging to do business in the country compared to most of the places, right? It's very difficult. When I say the ease of doing business, it's about the time it takes to set up factories in terms of approvals, the labor laws, the inflexibility in labor laws, the corruption in various levels. I think India is among the most difficult places in my personal experience to do business. The second I would say is that I think in what our experience has been, getting skilled talent has not been very challenging, because I think you can also, in a medium and larger scale company, you can also put the effort to train people, but getting good management talent has been a big challenge. And I think because of not having that many large printing companies in India, you do not have people who, there's not enough senior management talent available. So then you tend to bring a lot of people from other industries, which a lot of times is good, but in certain times you have a learning curve as well. So senior level management talent, I think, is one big challenge in India as we see it. The next, I think, is in terms of the infrastructure, especially when it comes to roads and power. it's a big challenge. And because of the infrastructure, you tend to have inefficient production systems. Typically, in other countries, you could service customers at long distances. You could use raw materials from long distances, which becomes very, very challenging in India. The costs go, the reliability factor goes down. You don't know when you're getting materials, when you're be able to reach your customers. So the infrastructure is a very, very, very big challenge. In some states, we have situations where you don't have power for 12 hours, or you pay 2 times the cost if you want to. So all those kind of infrastructure challenges, I think, are the next big issue that we have. The other side, I think, is the unreliability and the imbalance in the supply chain. You not have as many options available compared to most of the countries. And especially when you want to compete globally on the export side, that becomes a kind of disadvantage you have versus players like in Indonesia or maybe even China. Both in terms of the imbalance in the size as well as in terms of reliability would be, I think, a challenge. But if you ask me what really keeps me and most of my people up at night, I think it's the big change in terms of how people are consuming content, how people are doing transactions, how people are just interacting with each other. I think these quick changes in technology and people's habit, I think is an opportunity, but is also, I think, one of the most biggest challenge that company like ours would have. So the last part is, I think, message to the EFI team here is, I think, in terms of what I feel really company like EFI can do for customers. I think for any company, you either play on the cost side or the revenue side of the equation. And actually you play in both. But I think on the cost side, you make incremental benefits, incremental margin. But when you play on the revenue side, that's when you get disproportionate gains. So I think if a company like an EFI can always think about how you can help your customers do better on the cost side, but really innovate on the revenue side of it from your large experience that you have across your diverse customer base, your diverse global understanding of what the market is going through. I think that's where really you can add value. And if you can measure yourself that how you're doing on both these sides from a customer perspective, I think that's where really a lot of value can be added. Thank you.
Thanks, Gautam. Clearly, I think a lot of times the focus, when we are looking at is improving efficiencies, effectiveness, which is important, but it's necessary but not sufficient, according to Gautam. And clear message that we should be looking at what are the different ways we can actually help the industry grow their top line, make the penetration bigger, drive more elasticity of the market. Also, some of the challenges that he shared with us, from infrastructure to imbalance in supply chain, a lot of the things that we sort of look at, in the Western context, we take it for granted. That doesn't exist. So some of our systems, which assume that to be a prerequisite and pre-existing, if that doesn't exist, then obviously downstream, they're going to not be able to sort of do what they're supposed to do in the India context. So important to be very cognizant of that. One of the things that I also got from your discussion was, what keeps you awake at night is sort of these various, sort of cut by, death by 1,000 cuts. Many transactions during the day, different level, different people, and sort of sometimes it's kind of blind that you're flying through, with lack of adequate systems or adequate sort of control mechanisms to get the big picture at any given time. Each individually might be fairly small, but together they are a great cause of concern. So thank you for that. Narendra, you're a legend in this industry. Really, all ears to hear what you have to share on the same topic.
Good morning. As we were talking about opportunities and what we have to do, the opportunity India now uses about 9 kilos per capita consumption of paper and board. The world average is 54. And the Asian average is 27. So we are far behind. So one good thing is, if I ask you, where are we going? Only north. Part of it, we are going to really, our consumption of paper and board is going to increase. And number two, as the consumption increases, packaging, printing, everything increases. And as you have heard the Prime Minister's speech on the 15th, saying that please come to India, manufacture here, and then distribute here and from here. All this gives us a lot of opportunity to increase our manufacture, and manufacture increase means or directly increasing our printing, packaging, everything goes together. So that, I think, yes, we are looking for a bright future, which increases all around, including the GDP going up more than a couple of percentage points. At the same time, I would also like to tell you that India is a very different country from Europe and from America. Systems are very different. When he has to design a software, he has to look at the hourly rate of $25 to $50 per hour. So his mind thinks differently. But in India, it's very different. Our costs are maybe $200 per month, or $300 per month, or $400 per month. So our thought processes, our systems, and our usages are very, very different. And that's what actually we have to keep in mind when you say we want to design something specific for India. What is that do in India? What is that we can make things much better? I'm not saying employ more number of people and cut down, that's cheaper way. No, we know that more number of people, more number of problems also. But the point is, because of our cost structures and ROIs and the margins, our thought processes are entirely different from the Western world. We still use those things as much as we can, and then put in people, put in systems, put in other things, so that we make a system where we can make some more profit rather than put everything in the bank, pay to the bank. So that, I think, is the key. Think about it, how we can do it, something, if you want to specifically for India, what is that we can do here, how we can make it better. And the training part of it, yes, I agree with Gautam. We have to train ourselves, because really there's nothing much we can do. And somewhere lost the train of my thought. Anyway, I'll come back to that later. Thank you.
Thanks, Narendra. It's very clear, the market is only going up, which is exciting. So some challenges are challenges of growth, some challenges are different type of challenges, and growth challenges are always welcome, right? But you have to think very differently. That's the clear message. You cannot just apply rote. There are two schools of thought. It happened in telecommunication, it happened in other industries. One school of thought says, hey, when India grows up, it will behave like the Western countries have. And the second school of thought is, evolution changes the path completely. So you're not going to follow that path, it's going to follow a completely different path. And if you're from the first school of thought, you'll just hit a pause button and wait till things mature, which is sort of, non-actionable. But if you're from the second school of thought, you will actually take the bull by the horn and figure out what that path is going to be that's different. And learning from other industries, I think the same opportunity exists in our industry also, how to do that here. So thank you for that. Last but not least, Prabhuda, if you can comment on that, as well as comment on the labor issue, this movement to more of white collar. You teach at Manipal. Do you see bright young people being attracted? Are we attracting some of the best people in this industry? And if not, how we can do that?
Yeah, I would like to address that. And first, let me continue the line of thought from Mr. Narendra. Say, India, I will speak with respect to flexible packaging, an area which I know, which I worked for more than a decade. Say, the packaging consumption per India today is roughly around 4.5 to 5 kilos. And out of that, you can consider around, say, around 45 to 50% is that of flexible packaging. Now, by 2020, the average consumption per India will be 20 kgs. So if we take a straight line growth, that means, say, from 4.5 kgs, it's going to be around 9 kgs. So there is growth. There is a 15 to 16% growth if you see on a year. But on the other hand, are the things very good? I mean, if there is growth, then one assumes that there will be also progress. The last 2 years, we have 3 multinationals moving in and merging with they made an acquisition of 3 Indian companies. Now, one of the acquisitions which has happened largely, if you see, Dubai, which they acquired, was making a profit and was sold at 1,200 crores, but the rest of the companies were sold at 800 crores, numbering 7, which were there in India. So that definitely shows that there is a problem of return on investment. And currently we are not doing things well because there appears to be a slight overcapacity. So one of the trends which I see is some multinationals moving to India. The reason behind that there is growth. Secondly, another thing, if you look at the plans of some of the companies which are making polymers, for example, like Reliance, for example, like GAIL, for example, like IOCL, you will see their capacity, they are doubling their capacity in around 5 years of time. So the good news is that the demand is going to be around double, more than double, and there will be enough raw material in the country. So this is the good part of it. The second part of it, which I would like to address, is which has been mentioned, is an innovation. See, if you see that the return on investments has been low, and one thing which has been there that we have not been able to drive innovation to its full extent. An Indian customer is a very cost-conscious person, so he can pay if there is an innovation at times. Innovation in my mind is functionality by cost. It's not only bringing the cost down, but bringing up the functionality. I was talking to Gautam, in which he was talking about electronics, in which the label could speak much more. And if you see at the whole process of innovation, because I have been at the user end, I have seen that packaging perhaps comes the last. It's just like when you are going out, you wear a shirt. So all the other things are done before, and the last moment the packaging comes. So the integration of the packaging with the product and driving the full value to the customer, and here is what we have to pay much of attention, because all what technology is in the background, the customer will pay for when he feels that he is getting something more, and that's where the co-creation of the packaging and the printing on it will play a great role. That's one. That's the second point which I wanted to make. The third thing which I wanted to make was on training. See, we have a lot of education in printing, but very less of training. The training is actually on the shop floor when you are recruited. Now, I think we need to have more institutes, more places. Secondly, some of the syllabuses, if you see, it will leave you a bit uncomfortable, because what has been taught has been obsolete in the last 15 years or so. The courses need to be updated, labs need to be created, training, more hands-on training has to be given, and we need to have a workforce which is willing to take the challenges. Because in flexible packaging, at least I can tell you that the machines are modern, the skill levels are high. It's one of the things which is the workflow and the management practices which are not up to be a need of the hour. So on training, yes, say the Prime Minister has talked about a skill development mission. I think skill development is one which needs a maximum focus. In fact, I was talking to a Chinese delegation and he told that how they have calculated for the next 5 years what is going to be their requirement of specific skills and how they are addressing this issue through creating more skill training centers. So these are some of my thoughts to the question of Sam.
Thank you, Prabhuda. One very interesting point you made, the difference between education and training. So we might be giving education in the industry and all that, but training, which is keeping up with the state of technology within the industry, that seems to be lagging, and that has direct impact. Interestingly, Mr. Narendra, you commented that labor cost is a big driver in the Western economies, not so in our in the Indian context. But if slowly, if you're looking for more skilled and the best talent in the market, that is not too far away from the point of view of driving cost on labor also up. With that, I'm going to go to Gilad for real quickly here. Gilad has spent, interestingly, last few years, since the acquisition of the Creta Print business unit, which is digital printing on ceramic tiles. He spent a lot of time in China. He's also spent enough time in small places in Gujarat, like Morbi. So from that point of view, Gilad knows more about India than even I do. And I'm curious to understand from him what differences he sees in the two markets. You can take an example of tiles as one of the examples.
So, so first of all, as things are, I'm coming less often to India now. It's always a joy to be here and to see my old friends here and new faces as well. And I wish, and potentially it will happen that next year I can come more often as my job, vary all the time. So again, it's great to see you all. Now about the question, I cannot pretend really to understand the Indian market as well as this panel, and everything that they said sounds very acceptable to me. I will say a little bit about China and then derive a naive conclusion about India. So both countries are very large, and both countries are growing very fast, and both countries have a large self-sustained customer base. Both countries have low cost of labor, but fastly increasing cost of labor that need to be considered as a factor in China, maybe faster than here, as a factor in making a business decision. There is a few things about China that make China accelerate faster than India. Not all of them I would wish India to adopt, but they are what they are. So first of all, there is a government help there that is massive. If you want to open a business in China and the government think that it's a business that is important for China, they will help you a lot. They will become a partner, they will give you location, they will give you money, they will smooth a lot of things that are related to regulation, and it's just easier to do business. Another thing in China that is the jealousy of all of us in the West, and I'm sure in India, is the infrastructure. I mean, when you go to China and you see the road, the trains, the electricity, the internet, and so on and so forth, it's something that we all wish to imitate. Again, it's part of government involvement, obviously, and not a call to adopt the regime, but there are those benefits that are interesting. Another thing that China, and there are a derivative to that, another thing that China is ahead is the hunger for quality products. You know, in printing, for example, in signage, 5 years ago when I went to China, you saw all those signs that look washed, low quality, bending, all the things that people in printing love to hate. And when you go now, you know, it's as high quality as in the West. That created a market for high quality and high price product. There is open mind and needs in China to invest in capital equipment more than in India. India is still more cost sensitive in their approach to product than China. And hence, from that perspective, the drive for quality is slower in India than it is in China. So when you look at all of that, I can give you also now the aspect of EFI that is more specific to, aspects that are more specific to EFI, which are still a difference between our approach to China and our current approach to India. So EFI as an international company need to be local to the countries where they are. So in China, for example, in the last few years, we established a very large sale, operation, and support made of local Chinese people. China is, that's not an R&D center, which is simpler, actually. You know, India is one of our many R&D centers. It's part of EFI. There is no difference. It's very simple. What we did in China, we created a business management that is local. So the head of the country is Chinese. The head of service is Chinese. Everything is done in local language, local law, local environment. And that creates a very strong adoption of EFI values in China. In India, we are a little bit behind. You know, I cannot, again, nothing to do with the R&D center, but EFI India is not yet a business center as it should be and will be as the business go here. So being international, feeling local will allow us to service, help in training, help in providing the value that our product promised to provide, but without the infrastructure around it, are not providing yet. One last comment that I have, being in many developing countries, also coming from Israel, which is a developing countries, all the places I went through modernization, adoption of technology, efficiency, less labor, and more skilled labor. That was the international key for success. And I don't see, I know the people, the panel here talk and explain differences between India and other places. I think that exponentially it's going to be less different and less unique. And in order to be competitive, all those attributes will be adopted by India as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Gilad. Great to learn from some of the things that how China is doing business. Fundamentally, there is, barring some of the government investments and infrastructure, which very few of us on this stage has any control over, but at least from, quality, hunger for quality, I like that, hunger for quality products, it's sort of strategically dependent on us where we want to play. We are who or where we want to play or who we want to play with. So if you want to continue to play the cost game, it's a sort of diminishing spiral. We want to play the quality game, it's an increasing spiral. Wherever India has decided to play the quality game, it has been successful, despite all the barriers, etc. Because it reminds me of a thing when somebody said, China, the progress is largely due to the government. India, the progress I'm hoping that will change, is due largely despite of government, thanks to industrialists like you. So a businessman in India has to overcome all that, and so they are really world class. So my follow-up question, and I'm going to ask Gautam this because he's operating in both the markets, is, clearly there was a time a few years ago where a lot of orders were coming to India in various businesses in the printing packaging world, and mostly driven by the cost arbitrage type of thing. In the last couple of years, you're seeing that we are losing some of them to some of the other emerging markets who have started ramping up the quality curve. What are your observations with respect to that? Has it started hurting us where now are we hungering for the quality, let the Hunger Games begin, or are we still kind of, looking at cost as the way to go? And how do you, what is your company doing specifically with respect to that?
Yes, Sam, actually, we haven't, on the print side, we haven't really done too much on the exports. While we have manufacturing outside India, we haven't done too much of exports, so I do not have that much experience. Maybe he and Narendra will be able to more comment on that. But generally from the various different businesses, one trend I'm seeing with regard to export generally from India or other countries or imports into the Western nations is that there is a lot of support in the Western nations today for job creation, right? We have seen in other businesses where we have factories in India, factories in US or in places like Vietnam, that the US and Western Europe is really supporting local manufacturing, right? Because of job creation. So there's, of course, you already have the ease of doing business, and then you have a lot of support from the state governments, be it in terms of financing, subsidies, infrastructure, factories, and they're promoting people to come there. And with technology, it is becoming possible to do more and more products there for a lower cost. So I think that is one thing which is also affecting exports from some of the countries. And I think today, when you are talking about exporting to Western nations, quality, I think you have no choice but to be on par, right? I don't think you can build a sustainable business. And then the only other reason they will come to is that you have to be cheaper also. So I think we do not have a choice but to be on par in terms of quality, but we also have to be cheaper. And I think to be cheaper, we need to have a level playing field. Mentioning before, we can't have higher cost of equipment due to imports or duties. You can't have a higher cost because you don't have the right raw material. You need to import it and re-export it, or the higher costs of money which we have. So I think for India really truly to be able to compete, we need to have some of the disadvantages go, while the quality and those parameters are more in our hands, I would say.
Thanks, Gautam. Narendra, would you like to add to that from export part of view?
I sincerely think the only thing which is cost less in India is the labor. Only thing. But the cost of finance, the infrastructure, more important. We pay 3 times as much as the Germans pay for the power. So all these things actually, quality-wise, I think we can measure up. But the infrastructure and these things are not able to compete with China. And China is able to get some things to America much faster than what I am able to offer. So we are losing out. Maybe we are right on the price, but we are losing out on the infrastructure, and we are not able to get things across to those places at the same time as China. So that's where we feel sad. At the same time, when you go to China, really we admire the infrastructure, and we have to learn a lot from them. Learn a lot.